What a weekend we have just been faced here in Canada. Prime Minister Trudeau shooting off his mouth, talking to people, and then disappearing across the pond. So much going on. But I want to start off with something very, very important for Canadians. I don't know if many of you realize what this date represents this week, but it's actually the third anniversary of the trucker convoy here in Canada. Now, it's amazing right now. I was watching the Super Bowl. All I saw, because we have Canadian feed, we would love to see the American commercials, but all we saw was a bunch of companies finally hopping on the Canadian bandwagon. One of the questions I have to ask, though, is, 3 years ago, where were all these companies? I didn't see you waving Canadian flags. In fact, I still don't believe most of these companies even own a Canadian flag. But, we saw a true dedication to Canadians in a very, very conservative approach. It was amazing to see the unity that all of these people did when they went to Ottawa. Now, I do want to give a shout out to all our politicians, not just the Conservative Party, but does everybody remember what this house looks like? It's called Parliament Hill. And this seems to be where everybody has forgotten that's where you work. So, we saw a bunch of individual Canadians stand up for Canadians 3 years ago. And it's been an ongoing issue ever since. They've been punished. They had their bank accounts taken away. They've been called names, everything. And so many people would sit there and say, if they saw a Canadian flag, they got triggered. Well, I'm completely insulted by that. I own probably a dozen Canadian flags. How many do you own? For these people that are sitting there saying the Canadian flag actually triggered them, that is disgusting, because it truly is a indication of, are you truly a Canadian? Because if you don't like the Canadian flag, how do you like Canada? Well, as I mentioned, during the Super Bowl, one of the things that we saw was a bunch of these companies hopping on the Canadian bandwagon. Why? Because they think big bad Mr. Trump is coming here to destroy Canada. No, most of his tariffs were, basically implied because he wanted Canada to do something which apparently, and we're still waiting, is that create a border or fentanyl czar, somebody that's going to protect our borders, actually apply some of this. Now, part of my problem is that our government is not working right now. Like, you see this house, it's completely empty. I'm sure there's a caretaker or two there, and maybe someone's actually shoveling the snow, other than the shit that most of these politicians shovel. But where are they? Okay? I'm going to call out to every single MP, every single government official. Why aren't you at work? Now, a bunch of people are going to sit there and say, yeah, but we can't, Todd. The government's prorogued. Really? So you're telling me you can't do what the basic Canadian did and actually show up there and be seen? So I'm asking all the Conservatives, first and foremost, okay, we need somebody to step up and start demanding the government get back to work. And yeah, I get it. You can sit there and do the odd post. You know what? You should be applying more pressure. We need to demand our government to get back to work, because so many people are scared of President Trump. But all we're doing is doing this. We're putting our hands in our pocket going, well, we have to wait for the Liberal Party to make a decision that they're going to instill Mark Carney, who, by the way, would be tyrannical and destroy Canada even further. So what should you be doing? Well, you know what? It's funny. We've got a prorogued government right now. So quite frankly, Trudeau, who's come flat out to say, he's going to be ruthless. He doesn't believe in Canada. I mean, he's going to be on a beach soon. That's what he told Canadians. Thanks for all the taxpayer dollars, but I'm heading to a beach. Well, here's what he had to say on Friday, which I can't believe he actually is still talking.
Tariffs that are scheduled for April move forward. We need to be ready to respond robustly, as we are. We also have to be ready to support Canadians through the responses we're giving and through a difficult time of tariffs. That's something we have to talk about. But we have to keep in mind that our goal will always be to get those tariffs lifted as quickly as possible. That's the approach we have to have tactically around tariffs, that is focus on demonstrating the depth of the relationship, demonstrating that we can solve the challenges they're facing, but also make sure we're protecting Canadians and moving forward.
All right. Protecting Canadians. This guy's such a liar. He's so full of shit. I can't even listen to him. I'm sorry. You know what? That makes me sick just listening to him. But I just want to talk about the people in the room. None of them truly were listening to him. He was acting or pretending he was like a teacher speaking to people. And this is supposed to be some people from his own party. So, class is in. If you want to see the perfect gaslighting class, this guy can lead it. Okay, he's a narcissist, but in the same breath, he's already accepted that we're going to have tariffs in place. So does that mean he's not prepared to do what President Trump requested? Does it mean we're not going to protect the border? So is he really setting Canadians up? Well, he has. He's been setting Canadians up forever. And then he's talking about April tariffs. Well, last time I checked a calendar, buddy, you've got until the beginning of March. Oh, that's right. You haven't decided who's going to run our country yet. And that person is not going to be voted for. You're just going to turn around, walk away and go, hey, there we go. I'm going to the beach. Deal with this shit. You know what? That's exactly how this current prime minister has treated us. But hey, look, you know what? He's going to sit there and make bold statements about the tariffs. You know what? He should be negotiating now as opposed to let's wait till they come in because we wouldn't have done our job. But what else could he possibly do on a weekend of the Super Bowl? Oh, that's right. Here's a tweet from him. I'm in Paris meeting with industry leaders to discuss artificial intelligence and how we can work across borders to harness this technology effectively and responsibly. AI will shape our future, and we're securing Canada's place as a global leader in the field. Well, I'll tell you what, I'd love AI just to replace you, Mr. Prime Minister, because quite frankly, you can't think at all. But I love the fact that, hey, let's hop on a plane. Hey, how about your carbon footprint? I think Mr. Carney should be a little upset with you because he is a green monster. So in the end, here's one more example of our government doing nothing. They have their hands in their pockets. And what I'd love to see is reach out to all your MPs and say, go to work, go stand on Parliament Hill, demand they open, demand this guy gets his shit together so we can finally get this government changed. We've got to make some action. We saw 3 years ago, what incredible Canadians were willing to do. I'd like to see our politicians actually step up from the example that Canadians have given them in the past. Speaking of the past, you know what? We've got to look into the future. And one of the most important things I always tell everybody, you are a hard-working Canadian taxpayer. You should be watching out for your friends, your family, your children, the next generation. One of the most important things we can do. Love to hear your comments on all this. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Todd C. Slater.